Assalamualaikum and good morning to all judges and everyone who are watching this video. So I will explain about my project, which is study on the best classification method for an intelligent phishing website detector system, or can be called as P-security. So firstly, what is phishing? Phishing is basically is a cyber security crime which is target to acquire internet users' personal information. So let's move on. Phishing is a major problem faced by cyber world crime in which a perpetrator tries to steal internet user personal information such as their credit card information, their address, their full name, and then their date of birth and others. And then cyber attack that typically use disguised email as a weapon to trick internet users to acquire the personal information of a fake website. So like they disguise the website as a real website so that internet users will put their personal information. Now let's move on to the problem statement. So in this current real world, most of the internet users have no knowledge of differentiating between real and phishing websites because they seem so similar. And then currently, there has been monumental increase of phishing attacks over the year, which leads to the current method which is used in the current industry, which is blacklist, are inefficient. Now let's move on to the research objective. The research objective is to find the best parameter for logistic regression, decision tree, and key nearest neighbors classification algorithm model to develop the prototype for phishing website detector system with this machine learning model. To evaluate, to design, and then to develop the prototype phishing website detection system using the best classification algorithm model classifier that we have trained. Now let's move on to the research methodology. We use a waterfall methodology for this. I will go one by one, which is starting from the preliminary study, which is to identify the research background, to perform the background study on phishing, and move on to the next stage, which is the review, observe existing method, and then we select classification technique to be used in the proper system. And then move on to the data collection. We use Kaggle, which is an open source. We collect data set from there and then try to do pre-processing, which is by understanding each data attributes and then pre-process the data set. For the modeling part, we will split the data set into 80% training and 20% training, and then we will apply the machine learning classification technique that we have chose inside the knowledge acquisition stage, and then we will tune and select the best parameter for each. And then move on to the evaluation phase, which we will evaluate the model using the confusion matrix, the accuracy, F1 score. We will evaluate the model accuracy of key nearest neighbor, decision tree, and logistic regression. We will also give the data visualization and compare the accuracy. So for the system design part, we will design the predictive model and then design the system prototype flow. And second last is the system development. We will code the back end for the prototype of graphical user interface, and we will apply the predictive model to the prototype. And finally is the documentation, is write the full report. So let's move on to the result and finding. So the dataset collection we use which is separate into the two categories, which is phishing and non-phishing. The phishing is basically grouped into 6,000 data, and non-phishing is 5,000 data, which is unbiased. And then move on. This is the original dataset and the pre-processed dataset. So we use correlation matrix to remove uncorrelated features. And then so for the modeling part, we have to use parameters tuning. For k nearest neighbor, we will change the parameter of n_neighbors. And for decision tree, we will change the max depth, and for logistic regression, we will change the max iteration to get the optimal results. So let's move on to the k neighbor. So the k neighbors, the best parameter for k neighbor, which is n neighbor or k value, the best accuracy we get is using by 3k value, which is almost 93% of accuracy. Move on to the decision tree, which is we use max depth, and for decision tree we got that using max depth f14 we'll get the optimal result, which is almost 95%. And lastly, for the logistic regression, we will use the max iteration, and for this it is clearly shown in the graph that using 5 max iteration is the optimal result for logistic regression, which is 91%. And then the evaluation criteria will be the coefficient matrix, precision, accuracy, recall, and F1 score. So firstly, we will check the binary model for k neighbor and decision tree. So we can see that the precision, recall, F1 score for the k neighbor is 93%, and for the correctly classified phishing website is 873 over 966, which is quite high. And then for decision tree, we got 95% for precision, recall, F1 score. So this one also is let's say the highest. Move on to the logistic regression. We can see that the precision, recall, F1 score is 91%. So this is the model benchmarking. We can see that for the accuracy, recall, precision, and F1 score, decision tree clearly exceed all of the other classification model for phishing website. So the contribution to the society for this system is, firstly, they can prevent the theft of their own personal data, so like their bank account number, their address, so they can protect that. And then it is also to raise awareness of the danger to cybersecurity, so that most of the internet users and most of the society will be more aware on the cybersecurity threat, so that they will be more aware rather than they don't care. So like most of the old people usually just don't have the awareness for this kind of thing. So this system will raise the awareness. And lastly, this system will make all the internet user more secure when using the internet to browse. They will feel more easier. So now let's move on to the demonstration of the project. So let's say we want to check youtube.com when they serve. So okay, it's legitimate, so they will feel more safer to use this. And let's say they found a new website which is maybe called just YouTube. The URL is just YouTube, and then they just put it, and then they click predict. So it will output as the result phishing, so they will know that this is a phishing website. So that's all from me. Thank you.